Welcome to Wellspring on the Air. I'm Tova, president and co-founder of Wellspring Counseling. And today with me we have a very special show. We have a young woman. Her name is Citlali. Hi, Citlali.
Hello.
And we have Yasmin, who is one of our therapists.
Hey
And,
everyone.
and today we are going to talk about Citlali's story. She's been involved with Wellspring. She's gone through some very hard things in her life, and she's an amazing overcomer person who is now at a good, exciting next stage of her life. But she's been willing to share some of her testimony with us. So stay with us, and we look forward to hearing that story. So, Citlali, we're going to just kind of jump right in. So kind of to how old are you?
I am 20 years old.
And right now you're sitting in your dorm room, and you are at what college?
I am at UCF.
Yay, and you've
Randall.
been there despite COVID, you're up there at UCF. And so this is an exciting new time in your life. So let's just, if you don't mind, let's kind of start with a little bit about where you're from and your family and kind of just get us started on the beginning of your life.
Okay, yeah. I was born in Homestead, Florida. I've lived there my whole life. I have three siblings, two sisters, one brother. They're all younger than me, and of course my mother. Mhm.
Okay, good. So you were here and you're the oldest of the siblings in your family, and then you had some hard things that were happening in your home. You want to tell us about that?
Yes. So, growing up, I did not grow up with my biological father. He didn't want to be any part of it in my life, and that was kind of hard growing up, especially when I found out. And but I've always seen my stepfather. I always saw him as a father figure in my life. But um, he was very abusive towards us and including me, and it was um it was hard, and it all happened up until I was 15, and then he was like removed from the home. And after that happened, a couple of months afterwards, my mom got into a car accident. um she was hit by a car, and that was tough in our lives, and um these challenges just kept coming at us. It was hard.
Mhm. So let's backtrack just a little bit. Those are really big things to happen in your life, really
Mhm.
big. So, how old were you when your stepdad was removed from the home?
So I was 15.
Okay. And do you remember or want to tell any parts of what that was like for you to have something so big happen?
Yeah, so it was hard in all our lives because I remember the last night it was difficult, especially because it was so hard to even call someone for help.
Mm.
Um, so I'm not even sure like how it happened, but one way I I eventually just ran out, and like honestly I really think that was God really helped me and pushed me to like do that, because I don't think I would have ever done it myself. Um, and I remember just opening the door and yelling for help, and someone like calling the cops, and me feeling that I was betraying my family by saying all these things that was actually happening. Um, in the end, like it was so relieving to finally have this person removed from our home.
Mm.
And um, yeah, but it was pretty hard.
So, a lot of mixed feelings in there. So, relief to make it end and have help, but feeling like maybe I betrayed or I shouldn't, or, so a lot of
Complicated.
very
Hmm.
complicated. And you feel like God helped you make that call or reach for help finally, huh?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, maybe
Hmm.
you're a little braver than you think too,
Hmm.
but I'm sure God did help you. So, your dad was removed from your home, and then what was that like for you and your siblings? Did it just all get better, or was it still hard, or what was that like next?
No, it was. it was even more challenging. My mother was having a very difficult time with us. So to the point where she had to get a therapist for us. And of course, we already needed therapy because of what had already happened.
Mm-hmm.
But we were being like super rebellious. And it wasn't just like one of us. It was like all of us. And so my mom seeked for help for us, and we got the help we needed, and which eventually led to going to one of the bounce camps, which me and my younger sister attended, um, and that's where it was like a change of atmosphere. It was great. We really enjoyed being there and like doing all the different things that Bounce had for us, like from throwing the potatoes like at the wall, to get that anger out from like the graffiti, which was super cool and fun. But like these were all different ways to like cope with our feelings and things we wanted to like get out and like make it known that we were feeling this. But I remember sitting in one of the small groups, and that's what really kind of changed like my perspective on things. And I was like with my group leaders, and they were like all amazing, super nice and sweet. And I remember we were sitting and we were sharing our stories, and I didn't feel comfortable sharing mine yet. Because for me it was like I was the only one that was going through this. But I remember the um, one of the persons that was also there was sharing their story, and I remember we had very similar stories, and I remember just sitting there being like I'm not the only one that's gone through this, and like in the back of my head, like I've always known that like there's other people going through so much also, but like I really felt like I was not alone, and that was something that like kind of changed my perspective, like I mentioned, because it made me realize that we're gonna get through this together, and we're gonna be okay, and that was really helpful for me, making me understand that, because without that, I probably would have still been feeling like it's only me, like I should be like super embarrassed, or I should feel like super like ashamed. I should feel super, and these things really helped me to really be like, I'm not the only one. Like it's okay for me to feel this, and and then like eventually, continue in those steps that you guys have. I can't remember what it's called.
Yes,
Very
circle
helpful.
of truth.
Yes.
Yeah. Mhm. Wow.
Yeah, and it helped me realize like because I know we were giving like a sheet. And I remember like even after bounce camp was finished, I remember like I would look at it and I would be like, so I think I might have gone back to this, and then like, I'll continue and I'll like continue going around the circle. And that was like very helpful for me to feel like I now understand which step I'm at, and like I can, I'm at the step where, like I'm trying to deny it all. I'm at the step where like, I'm trying to move forward, and
Mm.
yeah.
It gave you like a guide to
Yes.
get through bad things. Yeah. Wow.
It's
When
really
I talk
true.
to, yeah,
Go
when I
ahead.
talk
Yeah.
to a lot of kids going into bounce, they're fearful like that to tell their story, that embarrassment, that shame that you described. What gave you kind of that courage to go to bounce and talk about these things? Or, did what you were getting into? Like, what was that like? I'm curious.
Well, I think I can't remember how exactly it happened. Um, that like I ended up going there. But I think it might have been through Johanna, if I'm not
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
mistaken.
It
Hmm.
was.
Um,
Yeah.
and so, but I just remember being there, like being with the horses also, well, the
Hmm.
pony.
Yeah.
Um, it was pretty good because like you got to pet them and like you like try to get them to come to you also, which was pretty cool.
Hmm.
I remember they let me try and like demonstrate. It's like super awesome, and it felt like good, like being there also, and like, um, but I honestly don't remember how I got there. Like I said, I think it would have been Johanna. But
Yeah.
yeah, like while I was there, like I felt so much better, like that I could like even open up a little bit more. about my story, and like I knew no one was gonna judge me at all and be like, this happened to you, like, ha 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 or whatever.
Yeah.
It was more like we're all sharing this. We're not gonna tell anyone else. And we're gonna keep going through it. Now that I remember, there was a volunteer that year also that was there who also eventually I think she told me she like was a UCF student also as well, but she was volunteering, and that was pretty cool.
Cool.
That's good. And before we take a little break here, Yasmin, do you want to just tell our audience about Bounce? Just very quickly make a plug for that in case they're
Yeah.
confused.
So Bounce is a 1 week intensive therapy program for youth who've experienced a traumatic event. And actually when Citlali went, it was in person, but now we've just finished doing 2 Bounce groups online, and they worked really well. So now we're going to this kind of hybrid online Bounce, and, we'll add in groups, following through. But that's just really what Bounce is. And what Citlali was talking about, the circle of truth, we give youth just a guide of how to get through bad things that happen in a safe place for them to process things that they've been through. So, and I
Well,
remember Citlali. Mm-hmm.
that's great. So we're going to take a quick break. And so if you're just listening to our recording and you're just tuning in, I'm on with Yasmin and Citlali, and we're talking about Citlali's experiences in her teen years, and she's just doing a great job telling us about it. So we're going to come right back after this break. If you missed the beginning, you can find us on your favorite podcast channel, Wellspring on the Air, to listen to this. Welcome back. This is Tova and Yasmin and Citlali with Wellspring on the Air, and today we are having a testimony of a young woman who's an amazing survivor of hard things, and most importantly, just a very special young woman with a great future in front of her, and her name is Citlali, and she's been sharing with us how during her childhood her stepfather was abusive and he was removed from the home. So and then you came to Bounce, and which is a Wellspring program for youth who've been traumatized, and that you realize you weren't alone, that these things happen to other people. It's not something you need to feel bad about, and something you can recover from. All right, so pick back up from there, if you will, in your story, because it was just a short time after that that your mom had an accident, right? So can you tell us about that part?
Yeah. So shortly after that, I remember it was our last day of therapy as well. But I remember my mom had dropped us off at the bus stop, and she always waits for us to get on the bus. So we went to school. It was like any normal day, and I remember we being picked up early from school, like getting called on the announcements, like, hey, Citlali is going home. And I remember I was super excited because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to school. Like, yeah, I want to be in school, little break. So at first I thought nothing of it, and then I see Johanna, and I'm like, hold up, like I don't remember my mom telling me anything about Johanna, like taking us like to a doctor's appointment, a dentist appointment or something. Usually, Johanna was very helpful, like with that. And so she so my sister also came with us because we both went to the same school. And I remember like we got outside and we were in front of the office, and then like I stopped like for a second. I said, like, why did you pick us up early? And like I remember she had shades on, and she and that's when like my sister, she asked something different, and like we just kept walking to the parking lot, and that's when we got back there. And I asked her again because I was curious, like why she picked us up early. And then that's when like I remember like she took it off the shades, and she was like, your mom was hit by a car this morning. And I remember I just started crying, and my sister was like, you're joking, right? Like, this is not funny to joke around. And she was like, no, like I wouldn't joke about something like this serious. And I remember I was just crying and crying. So I was like, is she okay? Like what happened? And she didn't know that many details, but she knew enough like to tell us, like this is what's going on. She's gonna have to stay in the hospital. And that's when we were driving down, and she asked us if we wanted to go with our siblings, which were staying at Stacy's house, which is the director of Kicks. And so we went So I went with my siblings and I saw them and I was like, we were still crying because we just found out. But my siblings had found out earlier that day. And even my little sister tried communicating with me, but I'm so grateful that she wasn't able to communicate with me early, because now I would have been in school and that would have been terrible to hear at school and like start having a meltdown, especially being like, I can't call her, this and that. Um, but I was able to like be with them, and I've like being around with them, like I felt a little bit safer also. Um, and they, we were gonna get through this together also, but it was so hard. Um, and me and Rosita, like we just heard this, we were still crying. I remember we went to um which was supposed to be our last session of therapy with Rebecca, and we went and we of course were able to talk to her, but it was very hard. And we had just had bounce camp also, and going through it all again, and like the circle of truth, right? And we were able to go through the steps as well, and like understand, like this is where we're at. But it was hard, and my mom was in the hospital for about a month, but we still had people who cared for us, like Kicks and our church family, which is Branches. And Kicks is like an after school program, and we've been with them, like at me since I was in fourth grade up till now, and now my siblings, and they've really helped us throughout our years and been there with us, and they guided us towards bounds also. And so we were staying like at Stacy's or at Johanna's house, and we were going back home to home. But it was very difficult because it wasn't the same, of course, from receiving our moms, like, hey, how was school today? Like her hugs, or like even her kisses and stuff. It was like super hard. And I really missed that. And I had to kind of be strong, and I wanted to be strong for all of my siblings. But it was very hard. And we were still, of course, receiving therapy. And yeah, but it was challenging, those within that time that it happened.
Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, your family was really supported. You and your siblings, when your mom got home, went through your church, which was Branches, through
Mm-hmm.
KEX, which is your after school program. They brought you meals and things like that, right?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, they were very helpful like that, and take some of like things off, so I didn't have to worry about that. So I was able to go to school, but even that, it was hard. Because like my mom was in the hospital and I'm over here at school, and all I'm thinking about is like my mom, like how she's doing. Is she gonna be okay today? Especially that first week. It was very like tough, and like rough for me, because I remember I saw her at the hospital, and like she was connected to like all these tubes and like machines and stuff, and like it was some of the nurses like were like, even the day after she like was like released from the hospital, they were like, I don't know how you made it, but like you made it. And like it was like that serious, and the thought of me losing my mother was hard for me. And I'm glad that she was able to get through it, and like right after that she gave her life to God, and that was amazing also. But yeah, but people were very supportive. They brought us meals, and they really helped us.
And how did therapy, you were in therapy, not just balance, but kind of through this process.
Hmm.
How did that, you had physical support, food and things, but how was therapy helpful?
Oh yeah, so I love therapy, honestly. I really do. I'm not even like, because it's someone who you can really talk to. Like, they'll listen, they won't like interrupt you. Like, truly amazing. Like, it's someone like they can really just hear you out, and like talk to you. And I remember, like, so Rebecca was an amazing therapist. She was amazing with us. And she I remember, like, I would just talk to her, and I would like talk and talk and talk and talk, and like it felt great because I was like getting it all out. And that's like something good to do, like take it all out, because sometimes like people tend to like keep it inside or within themselves, and it's like, and you don't have someone to like,
Open
what's
up.
the word, like say things to, like tell you, like to tell them what happened and stuff like that, and like they won't judge you. And that's what was great. And like it's just someone who can really listen and like give you any advice that you need and stuff like that. And it was very helpful for me because I was able to like talk to her. And even like while I was while that happened, like my mom's accident, I remember I had a couple of meltdowns in school, and like I called her and I was like, I can't do this. And like she was so encouraging. She was like, yes, you can. You're gonna get through it, and just continue to go. And that was great because I just needed to hear words of encouragement and someone who was close to me also like tell me, you're gonna be okay.
It was kind of interesting for me to listen to you because I remember on the Wellspring side, your case and your family, and I remember Rebecca saying, because we actually had to find funding for you, and she's like, I have to see them, I have to see them. She was really dedicated to being there alongside of you during all of
Yeah.
this, and so it's just really rewarding for me to kind of see this other side. So um, as you look back now, what do you see now looking back? I know one of the things you talked about during some of those phases for you, because we talked before the show, but was just being mad at God. Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, so right after so I've always like gone to church with Johanna. With Johanna's been like my mentor.
Hmm.
Now auntie. But she's been so like I would always go with her like on Sundays or usually every other Sunday or whenever I woke up, I wasn't very consistent. But I remember after like all this had happened, I was very angry at God because I was like, why are you still throwing these challenges at us? Like, like, is it something we're doing wrong? Like, what is happening? So I was very angry. Um, and I was like, I don't want anything else to do with you. And, you know, um, like, I really don't understand why you're allowing this to happen. Like,
Hmm.
you already allowed, this abusive home for like, especially for me, it was like 13 years. And, and like, why do we still have more to go through? Why do we still have to face challenges? And there were all these questions, but I still, I remember, um, like still even through that, like even through like all these things, I know like kicks I would be like, yeah, I don't care about that, or like I don't want to learn about God, like like how come He allowed this to happen,
Hmm.
like yeah, so if He's so powerful, then why couldn't He stop it, So there's so many doubts and questions and things that I was like, I'm not happy about it, God, I'm gonna let you know that I'm not happy about that. But it was also great for me because I was able to like even talk to Him and be like, like if you really exist, then like show me, or like, but even like now that I look back, I'm like He was with me like through the whole process, even if I didn't see it, and even if it's in like even through the hard moments, like I mentioned earlier, like I know He was with me the day like my stepdad was removed from the home, and I didn't see it then, but like now I see it, and then like I know He's been with me through like other moments, like through like bounce through Johanna, through kicks, through branches. It's just that He shows up in like mysterious ways, and
Hmm.
I I've learned that the hard way. But it's been a good process because now like I finally, I think it was my senior year, I gave my life to Christ at a camp, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna give it to you. And I remember like even that day He was with me. I remember like someone was praying over me, and like I literally felt like He had taken off all the weights, everything off of me. And I was like, this is amazing. So I was like, okay. And I look back now and I'm like, and I've seen like the difference in my family also. And it's been like a challenging process. It's not something like I would ever want, like, would have wanted to happen. Um, but it did happen. But I've learned to like, what's the word? I've learned to continue and and know that, like I will make it, you know. Yeah.
Well, we're going to need to wrap up, but I think you've done a good job of kind of wrapping it up for us and saying that you'll continue. You've made peace with God, and none of us have good answers for why God allows some of the hard things He does. I
Yeah.
can't begin to answer, but you just let God be God is what you did. You let go and
Mm-hmm.
let Him be. And I know you told me that your siblings are doing better. They've had therapy. They're getting along, less arguing in the household and some of that hostility that all of you had from an abusive home for so many years. And you're now at UCF and you're in school. You're actually on your third year of school, right? Because you got your
Yeah.
associates. And so now
Mm-hmm.
you're moving forward. And tell our audience what you think you might want to do someday or next.
Well, yeah, so right now I'm studying hospitality. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still not sure what field I want to go in yet. But I'm still debating. I'm still trying out new things. I have found out or come to a realization that I do like a lot of volunteering things. But I'm still like learning different things about hospitality and what it is. And like I would like to travel, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking for something that I would really want to do eventually. And hopefully I can find um, what I was meant to do and like my purpose in life. And, you know, yeah.
Well, that's beautiful, and thank you so much for sharing your story. So honestly, I know it's hard and heartfelt and hard to go back, but you are a light to other people who may be for the first time hearing what you heard for the first time, which is it's not your fault and you're not alone,
Mm-hmm.
and there are resources for you. There are things you can do to get through things and people to come alongside you for that, and God is with us through the whole process. So on that note, we'll wrap up. Yasmin, it's been nice to have you with us today too.
Same.
And anything you want to say as we close?
No, and she, the part where, she had told us before that her mom knows God now, after your mom's accident, and now she's encouraging you with God's word. So I just think that's beautiful.
It is beautiful. Well, thank you for that beautiful whole story. And it's time for us to wrap up. This is Tova Krebs with Yasmin and Citlali. And we're with Wellspring on the air because hearts and minds matter.